Tayo and I had very strong similar thoughts this chapter. It's one of those things where when you see very specific wording in a bit of a scene, or like I guess in this case on a test and whatnot, that should know there's an area to exploit, and like a whole section that you have to like look at the wording and say, okay, well, technically because of this, like I can still either do X, Y, or Z. And the reason that is Kyochiro's exam, I like how his was mostly just, hey, we're just gonna get right down to it. It's not gonna be too difficult, but it's a very specific set of trial. Like he's got everyone in these, what is it called, a Morse thread, and he's able to individually communicate with all the people that are in the last round of the silver spy exam. I like his logic in the first part where he's like, well, I mean, you guys already made it this far, so I'm not really going to doubt the capabilities of the people that made it to the final round. It's really just this last test. And the way that he's doing it is like very slight alterations of like your heartbeat and your breathing will end up like snapping the thread. So he's like asking people information, but it's more like a conversation, but he knows things about them that they might like freak out over if they, just having it. Like one dude was like saying how, like he's wondering if people were aware that like in his free time he like dresses like a girl. There's like one person who's like saying how, what was like the second person I'm trying to remember? I know what's his name, Usa, the rabbit dude, the photographer guy. It was like something about like his style of underwear he wore, and then he got knocked out really quick. I kind of felt bad for him because he made it all the way to the end, and I would imagine this would be really lucky for him to get this far at the point of like where his character is at, because his character doesn't seem to be like a fighter, and I would imagine anytime there's a combat round, he's not going to do that great. Like, he seems to be a character outside of like information and stuff that he could be a decent support, but if he's put in something like this whole Shinzo fight, the very first round of the trial, he's going to get screwed over, because with Futaba, where it was like this kind of like tricky technique thing you can look through, that's something that like somebody like him is more suited for. But anything that's going to be a more combat heavy thing, unless he's got some form of combat skills that I don't really know about, and we don't really know about his readers, I would imagine he would have a hard time passing over whatsoever. Oh, and the second person was they're like writing love letters or something in like a weird code. I feel like that's not that odd. That would just be kind of like, it's a little strange, but like, who cares? I don't think any of these are really that bad. Like if I was a spy and like the worst thing is like that somebody could like find out about me is like wearing some wool underwear or something, I'd be like, who cares? Just get it over with. Because it's just like, well, what are people gonna do? You're a spy. I'm pretty sure anybody who finds any of the things mentioned in this chapter as like embarrassing wouldn't really care that much, but at the same time, I think that's like overruled by like the fact you're like a spy. You got like a really cool job, and on top of that, like everybody here has like superhuman capabilities. So like, good luck trying to mock anybody for any of the secrets that come out during this portion. Plus, even if like you were embarrassed by these things, it's like this guy's a super spy, so it's like if he knows, who cares? You're never gonna run into me, and it's just something that you're probably gonna be a little bit awkward about, ever like trying to potentially converse with him like with Kyoto, but it's like I don't really know how often you're ever gonna really talk to this dude. So I know I'd just be like, yeah, whatever, man. It's please don't tell anybody about X, Y, or Z if you have you have some secret that you didn't want him to tell. But with Tayo, and I feel kind of like with this, it was like I feel like this was kind of set up by him to get information out of Tayo. Not like it was exclusively done only for him, but I feel like it was one thing that he anticipated and planned for Tayo to get this far, so he can find out information from him. Because he's asking about Subumi and or Subomi, I don't know exactly how her name's pronounced, but information about her and why he like is so interested in her, and he's like saying how like I've been keeping an eye on you this whole time. I mean, I would be a little bit weirded out by that. I mean, the idea of him like having a level of awareness for events going on around him is one thing. Like him just kind of like keeping an attentive eye anytime Tayo's like within range. But I don't know, this would indicate like at all times in the day he's like listening. What would happen for him if since Taiyo and Mutsumi are married, what would happen if like they just decide at some point they're gonna have sex? Would Kyoshiro just like be listening? Would he like be like, well, I guess I should see what they're up to, and then bam, like kind of like tunes in and then as runs into this thing? Probably not the best idea for him. I definitely would be a little bit more lenient for what he's looking for, like unless there's something specific that he's trying to find out about, like from Taiyo. I wouldn't really mess around too much with like eavesdropping on him just from like that fact. But the whole stuff about Tsubomi and like trying to figure out like, okay, well, you figured out how to open the book. There's a lot of secrets about his whole setup right now that it's like it's something that like clearly Kyoto is going to be interested in, going to have a hand where he's going to try and figure out like any of the information towards. I get why you wouldn't tell the rest of the family, but one, this is an example right here in this chapter of like, why even keep him from Kyoto? He's going to find out. And then two, he's like the one that you should be able to trust because he was fully aware, like going into the previous mission, that their mother's corpse was at that building. So anything like that where he should be capable of either finding out, or it's just like you just tell him anyway because he's like that involved and he's not going to just go around telling the rest of the family. I don't know, I would have just told him. I would have went and had a conversation with him because I feel like that's the one guy you definitely can trust to a degree for, like you're not going to trust him for everything, but anything like this or it's some like extra like kind of like weird matter with their family ties and whatnot, he's going to be the one that is not going to, he's going to keep the secret, and as well that he might just find out clearly, and on top of that he's going to aid him in finding out about where they're going, especially like I feel if Taiyo got to the point with the silver card, he went to go and question Kawashita, that Kyoichiro would be like, well, what's he doing? And then end up spying at him right then and there. Just because that would be something that he'd probably want to eavesdrop on. And even if like they can take all the guards and stuff and make it so Taiyo can go to Kawashita, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if Kyoichiro would just kind of say a little nope and then get past any like set up security within like their base and can just listen to anything he wants at any point. But during this whole thing he does end up saying how okay, like if the string breaks you just have to not fall in the water during the tea time, and that was like the whole look around area for the ruling. It wasn't when the strings break, it was if you hit the water. And while he's talking to him he's like, well, I don't really know if I can trust somebody so weak to be able to carry this out. And he's like even saying, like, even though you protect the Mutsumi, I'm protecting you both, which is true. But at the same time, I wouldn't call Taiyo weak, like especially now. Like even before he got blooming, he was already like rising up the ranks and becoming pretty strong. Like right when he got his gun, I would say like he's still weak in comparison for a lot of things, but like we've seen his durability and like his fighting capabilities. He's definitely not a weakling. He's just not he's not up here with people like Kyoichiro. And I don't know, I'd be a little bit kind of for like calling a guy weak who's clearly way above the average for people you'd run into. Like if he's strength wise in the silver rank spy area, that's definitely not somebody who would be a weakling. You're already above a lot of the people there. But the whole thing that was important about not falling in is Taiyo was able, like after the strings broke, to use his gun just to pretty much do like a big blast to shoot him directly at Kyoichiro, and he's like saying that he's gonna end up taking the seat next to him because as long as he can stay out of falling in the water, he's good. And you even see stuff like he uses the static electricity from his gun to gather a bunch of the strings around him and stuff to protect him from attacks that Kyoichiro is doing. And he's able to grab a bunch of the strings as well, and then just now it's a spot where he's going to try and just get him out of the chair so he can survive the round. I wonder if he would be able just to keep like doing shots at least until the time runs out. Like would he be able just to kind of like launch himself up there and maybe like get in, like stab his sword into the pole, or like how many attacks would he need to at least just hold on for the time limit, however long the dude finishes his tea. As well as like not just like if he gets in the chair, what happens if Kyoichiro spills his tea and would the tea time be over? Anyway, other than that, it was a pretty solid chapter. I actually like this. Like I mentioned, Kyoichiro, I really didn't like him at the start of the series. Like he was a character I couldn't stand, but he's gotten a lot better over time. And this is like a spot where I'm kind of like I'm still a little bit annoyed with him in this chapter, but it's really I think he's just testing Taio, I don't think he's actually being like, yeah, you're too weak, I don't care, you can't do anything. I think he's trying to test his conviction and his fortitude in the scenario that they're in. But anyway, other than that, they'll comment below. Thumbs up the video, friend, like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. For that, I appreciate everybody's art, subscribe, and thank you all for listening. Bye.